Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm just going to do a recap of the daily plan as well as the live market commentary that I posted here on StockTwits. I'll leave a link to the description if you guys care to see it in real time. And thanks to everyone subscribing on YouTube. It does mean a lot. So I started here on StockTwits just before 6 a.m. and I said, good morning, traders. High and low of overnight session between these two levels that were, if you guys remember, you guys may not be able to see this. One second. These were two order flow levels from our daily plan yesterday, and this, as of this time, capped the overnight session. So let's move on. Crazy first month of students. Updated the calendar. Here's what the rest of our month looks like, right? And we launched our small group together, and we had a crazy first week going over the introductory course or series. It's all recorded and uploaded on the site for anyone and for the people who joined later. And yeah, we have two live reviews. How the market recaps, how I do here. I do private recaps where we'll break up the dailies or the sessions between the overnight session, morning session, afternoon, into close. We break it up and see what we look at the order flow and dissect it into much more depth. As well as doing the daily plans, how I post on StockTwits. I'll go in and show exactly what I see on the TPO and the footprint and everything in depth, what I derive the levels from and how. But here we go. Creating a daily plan, step 1, checking the overnight TPO. Why use TPO? It allows us to visualize what's going on in the market auction in one quick glance, right? I've spoken about this before. It makes market auction theory much more palatable, if you will. I know this stuff looks very confusing if you're not used to it, but it's really, really not at all. Takes you, I don't know, it's quick to learn. It's really not much at all. And then once you know, you just take a quick glance, see what the overnight session is doing. You're already aware what's going on in the past few sessions, and that's it. You know what's going on. So what are you looking at? You're looking at the shapes of distributions. You're looking at the highs, the lows of each market profile, right? Each one of these is called a market profile. TPO has to do with time, not volume or anything. I personally have the volume by price side by side, but when you're talking about TPO, you're talking about these market profiles. And yeah, that's why we use it. And we could find multi-day balance, is the market happy to trade in a certain range. This is how you find balance in the market. Creating daily plan, step 2, checking out the transacted volume on the daily. Transacted volume allows us to see where market participants are positioned. Do you see buying imbalances, selling imbalances, who is in charge, what do the distributions look like to you, what do they mean to you? We'll cover some in recap, right? So we've spoken about a lot here on the YouTube volume distributions, right? We talk about P-shaped distributions, lowercase b-shaped distributions, capital D, and capital B. Those are the four main types of volume distributions. We spoke about them all many, many times. And what do we see so far here? Well, we don't see so much of a P. I know people may want to say this was or is a P. During this overnight session when I first came, it was a capital B, but as we're breaking down lower here, we started building these volume nodes, so I wouldn't consider that a capital B anymore. And at one point, this was a P shape distribution. Sellers did their job over here. Clearly, we could see nice volume nodes here, selling imbalances, and exhaustion at the highs. And what else can we take from this? Just looking at our overnight session early on right here, we know buying imbalances here. We know buyers are active here, right? All around our buy zone that we had. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to move up on the tape. They're trying to move a bid up, at least right here, right? Oh, goodness. Alright, daily plan for today will be live on mic and sharing screen at 9 a.m. How I already went over that. I do it every day. So pretty simple daily plan, I think. What else? So I went over this a little bit. Chart traders are people who like to trade off simple patterns, double tops, wedges like this. I don't know, a pennant, as well as people who like to draw trend lines, right? All that stuff. I've said this so many times before, but I'll say it again. The only reason you see these patterns or whatever you trade off, or not you, whatever these chart traders trade off of, whether it be double tops, double bottoms, whatever. The only reason you see that is because market makers want you to see it, right? Because, or market makers, banks, algos, institute, whatever you want to say, it doesn't matter. But think about it like this. Say you're looking at whatever time frame you trade off. Say it's a 5 minute, and you're watching this candle develop in real time, but you don't see on a candlestick chart what's being transacted here. You just see it moving up and down, right? So you could have a majority of the volume, let's draw, done down here, right? You see a huge bid, or you don't see, but a huge bid is being built right here, and then a few seconds before this candle closes, it goes from what's looking like a nice green candle or something, or maybe a doji, maybe even red, but there is a bid here, and then boom, market makers, whoever, sweeps the book, right, and then they close it at the lows in the last few seconds of the candle. You see this all the time watching the order flow live. So a chart trader, someone sees, oh, bearish engulfing candle, and maybe this is some support and resistance that they drew from the chart that gives them the confirmation, right? This, you see this all the time at levels around these patterns and whatnot, and so chart traders are gonna go short, right? They're at some level that they deem a good level. They see a red candlestick like this, a big red candlestick, and they'll go short. But they don't see what's going on inside the candle. This bid, as soon as this candle opens, boom, that's where retail gets stopped, right? So that's why I am so biased towards order flow and looking at the transacted volume, right? You could see what's going on. You could see what market makers are doing. The only thing they cannot hide, they could hide that on candlesticks, how I just said. If you use that liquidity maps like Bookmap, or even just reading level 2 if you trade equities or the dominant futures, they could spoof orders, you know, all that stuff, but they cannot hide transacted volume, and that's what we're looking at. Just finished reviewing the daily. Yep. Do you see bid? Do you see an offer? You should. We'll go over in recap. So this was the daily footprint going into the open. And what do we see? We see the sellers that we already spoke about up here. And as we came down, look at these volume nodes building out nicely down here. So we know an active bid is here, right? We do see some high volume nodes here. Should be no surprise, right? We've been speaking about this pivot on this pivot area on the YouTube for probably maybe a month now, right? Overlapping multi-day balance. So yeah, that's what we see and what we are looking at going into open. You know, we have a buy zone just below. I think that was it. Nope. I said look at the daily distribution of volume now, guys, compared to the last post, right? So let's look here. You know, we have 15,000 contracts, 23, 22, 16,000 contracts being done here at the lows, and that's at 9:23 right before open. Now we look almost at the close of the open 30, and look at it now. Double the contracts over here, you know, 50, 56, I mean 55, 56,000 contracts, 40, 42, I mean 42, 43. This bid is much bigger. Let me make this bigger, I apologize. But what do we see here now, right? Remember we were talking about these volume distributions? We see a lowercase b distribution. This is capitulation to the sell side. We see exhaustion to the lows. And sure enough, as of me recording this, this was the low of the day. I personally wanted it a little bit lower. I wanted it lower, and so I'm waiting for my entry criteria. I have very strict entry criteria. Was not met, so that's fine. I did not take this long. We did have someone in the room who did, right? You see on the tape, we do clearly have a nice big bid B-shaped distribution, and I think they said they had a starter size around 3,700, probably a little bit above. I don't know if we touched 3,700, but they got a starter size and traded it very well. I think they waited until this pivot, and then on our smaller time frames, as we pulled up here, you could see that sellers were trying their hand here. They played it safe, took it off here, and that ended up, again, as of this recording, being the temporary high until we retraced. Once I started recording, we were trading around this the same area over here. Okay, I believe that is everything. Yep. All right. So this is my approach. I use order flow. I use the TPO, and then different tricks and tools that we have. Right. We've spoken about the delta before, stuff like this that we talk about in the room. So if you guys find an approach or find an edge in this approach, my link to the website will be in the description. But if not, I'll see you tomorrow in the next recap.